And we're live! Hello, everybody in the interwebs.
Hello. We have
We're
0 viewers.
we're calling out to the void right now. Oh,
Oh, we
there's
have
one.
one viewer. That might be Matt Andrews.
He's on YouTube. These people are on Twitter.
Ah.
Michael's here.
Michael, of course, is here.
We can start now.
Good evening, sir. We don't need anyone else. See, we're past a dozen. We got Michael. We're good to go.
Derek, what's up?
Hey, Derek.
Drew. Hello.
Hey.
We're climbing up there.
Moving on up. We're 42. Oh, we were at the meaning
48?
of life.
Puzzle Master. Ooh. It's quite a title.
Hello, Mr. Max Wheeler.
Clicked on you. We have a like.
Hey, Lon. The Lon Smart. Famous artist.
Welcome.
From Disney. Creator. Great to see you, Lon.
Wow. So many new faces in the chat.
I know. Today. We got a great turnout. And hey.
All right, if we can hit 55 or higher, we can go ahead and do that. I said that.
We're going to drop down.
You guys, come. Oh, there we go. 57.
All right, 57.
All right, while the iron is hot.
Hit the button while we have it.
In 3, 2. Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 64 of the Attractions Podcast. I'm Brittany.
And I'm Seth.
And we're here to talk to you about the latest and greatest theme park news and more, as well as what's going on in our own lives. Seth, how's your week been?
My week has been great. Thank you so much for asking.
You hesitated.
I was trying to think of a better adjective than great, because, that's overused, but then I didn't want to go for super, and by then it was just the moment had passed. So we'll go with great. I got to do 2 theme park related things this week. I got to check out the taste of the Epcot International Festival of the Holidays, which is running now at Walt Disney World. And I'm ashamed to say I only made it halfway around World Showcase before my stomach ran out. But I did check out most of the booths between Canada and American Adventure, and I got to give a shout out to the new L'Chaim booth, inspired by Hanukkah, with a vegan black and white cookie.
Oh, man.
So, thumbs up to that.
And
really I also really loved the duck confit inside the World Show Place, even though I'm not certain that one's kosher.
That sounds pretty great.
It was a lot of fun, and we actually had winter weather for a change here in Florida.
I saw
By winter
that.
weather, I mean like low 50s.
People had to break out their jackets.
I looked like I was ready to go skiing in Vail. I was totally bundled up. But the other neat holiday thing I got to check out was Gatorland's first annual Ho Holiday Hoedown, or Holiday Hoedown. Might have that backwards. But if you are looking for a much less serious, less sophisticated, more country fried Christmas celebration, I highly recommend get over to Gatorland, hang out with the socially distant skunk ape and Gator Claus, who has an alligator with antlers and a red nose, just like Rudolph. And this year they've put in sculptures of snowmen who are all melting in the Florida sun, and a gingerbread trailer park with a gingerbread outhouse and gingerbread gators eating gingerbread chicken.
Oh my
um,
goodness, that's lovely.
and yeah, they've got the Gator Dans. Who needs the Dapper Dans? They got the Gator Dans. Um, it is just as corny and kind of questionable, but really funny as it sounds. So and it costs like $15 to get in if you're a Florida resident. So that's going on the weekends right now. So if you've got a sense of humor, I'd say check out Gatorland right now.
We could all use a little bit of cheese in our
Yeah.
holiday.
Yes.
Before I tell you about my
How was
week,
your? Yes, I'm
we
sorry.
have a super
I'm
chat.
sorry. How are you?
I'm good. Michael sent us $10. No
Wow.
message. Thank you so much, Michael. That's so sweet.
Do you get that? Do we get to split that? Can you Venmo me my half? Or...
$5.
This goes straight to the attractions magazine. Support the Rosebooms found right the foundation.
Rose Boobs Foundation. We're setting that up as we speak. My week was fairly quiet, I would say. We started decorating for Christmas. It also got cold here, but in like the 40s and the
Ooh.
50s.
Ooh.
And yeah, I didn't really do a whole lot. We've
No.
been remodeling our kitchen, so.
Well, you still have the PS5.
Yes.
So the fact that you were able to come above air long enough to do this podcast that's a
well,
good sign.
I beat Bug Snacks.
Congratulations.
Which I am going to suggest everyone, if you are able, because it's on PlayStation 4 as well, play it because there's a twist in the third act of the game that makes the game absolutely sinister and dark. It's very like The Thing-esque. And I'll leave it at that. And Cyberpunk comes out on Thursday. So Matt, if you're listening, I may ask for Friday off so I can game all day.
You might need longer than I read something like it will take well over 100 hours, not to 100% it, but just to finish the main storyline.
Yeah, one of the devs played like 173 hours and hadn't even finished the main plot line yet.
You know what? Say that I'm old, say that I need dad mode or whatever, but I like a game to come in around 20 hours. Like, I like a game to come in around the length of a season of television.
Okay.
Because if it's much longer than that, I just can't fit it into my life. I don't know. I know that there's many of us right now who have nothing to do but pour 80 hours a week into a video game. But I like to be able to get to the end of something before, and I've got so many titles stacked up.
Yeah, the backlog.
Oh yeah. So if a new one comes in that's 170 hours just to see, and that's probably not to see the good ending, that's just to see the mediocre ending, right?
That's not even the ending. There are different lifestyle paths that you can pick. So each of the plots in those life paths are different. It's based on a tabletop game.
Sure. So theoretically, probably you could
go
play
on forever. Yeah.
But yeah, call me old-fashioned. I like to finally come to a conclusion and be able to put it away, move on to something else in my life. But
totally.
If nothing else, to clear
fair.
hard drive space. Like
with the PS5, they're not putting out any SSD expansions for a hot minute, so my space is precious.
I'm looking. There's for Oculus, there's a big new Medal of Honor, which is an old franchise, was around even before Call of Duty, is making a comeback in VR. But just to install it, you have to have 350 gigabytes of free space. And they highly recommend an SSD. And I'm like, I gotta go shopping if I want to play that. That's a big investment. I would have to spend almost as much as I spent on a headset just to get a new drive to fit it.
Should have bought one during Black Friday.
I guess so. Well, wait around. There's always another sale.
Yeah. But without any further ado, shall we get into the news?
Ado.
starting off with this, it's a little fun thing that happened just a couple of nights ago. Tony Baxter, Disney legend and former Walt Disney Imagineer, went to a little VIP reception virtually for Walt Disney's birthplace's virtual celebration for his birthday on December 5th. He was 119. I think that was the birthday.
Walt, not Tony Baxter.
Walt, not Tony Baxter. No, not Tony Baxter. But during his chat during the VIP reception, he mentioned that he would love to get to work on overhauling Figment.
Yes, wouldn't we all? Wouldn't we all like
Yeah.
overhaul Figment?
I think everyone would show up with sledgehammers and hard hats if they said that they were going to overhaul that thing.
In case you've been living underneath a I don't know, rainbow corridor for the last 40 years, Journey into Imagination with Figment is the ride that we currently have in Epcot, but it is a pale shadow of the original Journey into Imagination attraction that Tony Baxter led the team creating. And I think he probably still, even though he worked on a lot of stuff over the years, I think he still considers that one of his babies. And he's talked so many times over the years about wanting to fix it. In fact, he made kind of some very public remarks at a Disney event a number of years ago, and very shortly after that, he had announced his retirement. So I think maybe he's gotten himself in trouble a little with the bosses over his vocal disdain over the current version of it. I think, I love him and I kind of hate him for doing this right now because this is definitely him talking off the reservation, literally and figuratively. I don't know what his current position or weight that he pulls inside Disney right now, but with the current state of Epcot, let's just look for them to patch the park back together and get the construction walls down before we start thinking that an overhaul of Imagination is really going to happen.
Yeah. And I imagine he's probably got his hands full consulting on the Splash Mountain overhaul.
Yeah, which I guess is supposedly in high gear. Of many projects that have been stalled, but I guess most recently we had some confirmation from up high that that Splash Mountain is one of the projects that they have put on the quote unquote front burner. This is Disney. Even a front burner can still take a year or two or three. But I haven't seen any indication, unless you want to count the Christmas sweater that was put on the Figment animatronic recently. Unless you want to count on that as some sort of cosmic sign or some hint to the fans. I personally think that's more of a tease than a real hint.
Yeah.
But I hold out hope. I'd love to see it happen. It would be so nice. We went when we were on Tuesday when we were in the park for the Epcot Festival. I avoid that ride, and I made a point of going on it again just to see that Christmas sweater.
Oh.
And it was worth it.
Yeah.
Once.
Not
Won't
twice.
Go back again until they come up. I don't know, put a hat on them or something. They'll go.
For New Year's.
It did its job. It did its job. It got me on that.
Yep.
Ride.
Now, Tony brought up something interesting that I wanted to get your thoughts on. He suggested perhaps a full-length animated feature film starring Figment.
Yeah, hey, I'm there for that. I think it would definitely find a home on Disney Plus.
Oh yeah.
I think they've put out these thrown out these lures over the years, like the Marvel comics that were sort of a steampunk take on Dreamfinder and Figment.
Those are great.
Those were well done, and they did find a certain audience. And I feel like they've kind of tried little experiments to sort of see if there is a market out there for Figment to have a bigger role. I'd love to see it, but I don't know if Disney's upper management is really that convinced that he's a bankable IP.
That's
I think
true.
their question is like, how is he going to sell in China? How is he going to sell, in South America?
Yeah.
Um,
Do some shorts
yeah,
just to feel out
absolutely.
the waters. I love the new Mickey shorts on Disney
But
Plus.
then see, here's the thing: the fans are very fickle. If it's not exactly the Figment that they want, we saw there a little while ago. There was some concept art that was from an experiment, maybe a VR thing involving Figment, and the Figment didn't look exactly like the Figment we know, and people were kind of up in arms in social media about how dare you change my Figment? What are you doing to Figment? So they, darned if you do, darned if you don't.
I guess you're right. D23 members, if you're listening out there and you're on the Gold Family plan, you don't have much longer to have that plan.
Wah, wah.
They have announced this past week that they are sort of phasing out the Disney Gold Family membership plan and instead launching the Gold Duo plan, where it's two members with a primary member and an affiliate member, instead of your primary member and four family members in the Gold Family option.
Yeah, so I guess if you and your entire family with, your spouse and three kids were all going together to D23, this is gonna bite into that budget, huh?
Yeah.
This is gonna make things a lot more expensive. Um, this is okay. So, confessions of a bad theme park fan.
Ooh.
Um, I don't join fan clubs that require me to pay money for the privilege of paying more money. Period. Like I just don't do it. I find that all of the information that happens at a D23 event, I find out with a lot less waiting in line and a lot less expense instantly as it happens now
Yep.
online, and none of the tchotchkes that people go for are things that really appeal enough to me to spend that. Are you a D23 member?
No, I am
Yeah.
not. No.
I had a free membership that I signed up for when they were very first offered, and I don't think I've ever touched my account since day one.
I've
So,
always wanted to go to D23 Expo, but then at the same time, I've seen vlogs and videos from it, and it just seems like
I'm
utter chaos.
I'm willing to be there, through someone else's camera. I'm okay with
Right.
that.
I definitely am a fan of the videos and the live streams, that's for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. I will live
But
vicariously. Thank you to
yes,
vloggers who will go through that for us.
right. But if you're interested, the Duo plan is $129.99 per year. It comes with some goodies, pretty much what you can expect from your Gold Family plan. The individual plan is $99.99 per year, but that's just one person versus the two. So check it out if you're interested. They do various things like you get early access purchase for certain plush and things on Amazon, at least during COVID. They do drive-in movie type things every now and then, special showings for anniversaries, um, various things, and then you get like a box of pins every year.
Yes. Lots of,
Yes.
and I don't mean to just, my
Yeah.
my
No
feelings
discount.
are
Yeah.
my feelings are purely my personal this is not Attractions Magazine official opinion that
We have a
go
disclaimer.
if you do you go for it. Enjoy your D23 membership.
Yes. Now this. We are both fans of theater here. I can't believe this is a thing. Ratatouille the Musical is a TikTok brainchild from the Disney TikTok community that has kind of taken the world by storm. It's been acknowledged by Disney and Pixar. There's been a flash mob performance at Epcot. It's everywhere.
It is, and I think this is great that it's a testament to the creativity of people who have obviously been cooped up inside for way too long
It
this year.
definitely seems like quarantine mania in a way.
People who have a lot of creativity and not enough places to put it into.
Yep.
Yeah, this is one of those things that kind of snowballs in a way it only seems to be able to on social media like TikTok, which
Yes.
is something that I personally refuse to install on my phone.
Same. Same. I
For
feel like I'm
and
too old.
and
I'm
I, I'm not paranoid. Like I'll happily let Facebook and Mark Zuckerberg invades my eyeballs every time I put on my VR headset. I'm okay with that. But I'm not doing the TikTok thing. But for those who are, the way they seem to be able to take a meme and develop it into a full-blown production,
it's insane.
it's kind of crazy. Um,
I won't play them for you,
no,
but
thank you. I personally, of the ones I've seen, I think one on the official Disney Parks TikTok channel that is the wrapping construction worker actually inside the Ratatouille attraction, by far the best contribution.
yes.
By
I
far.
So if you didn't know, Disney unofficially auditioned for Ratatouille the Musical on their own TikTok, which they started pretty recently, I think, with two Imagineers rapping inside of the actual ride, Remy's Ratatouille Adventure. So that's pretty cool. That's certainly not an experience you would get to see regularly on social media, at least not one that you're allowed to post. As I don't know if you saw that Mickey video going around yesterday.
No. What did
Okay,
I miss?
I'll have to send it to you. And then Pixar tweeted "The Rat of All Our Dreams," which is a lyric from the title song
Which is
or
very,
Remy's.
very cool that they
Yeah,
gave that little nod to the fans.
very
I
sweet.
will say, the idea of this actually going to Broadway, first of all, it will be nice to have a Broadway for anything to
Yeah,
go
that would
to
be
again.
nice.
But there's a big difference between putting together a handful of clever clips of possible parody songs and actually an entire Broadway musical.
Yes.
And while there have been worse movies turned into musicals, a lot of worse ideas for movies, I don't know. I really don't think Ratatouille would ever work at a stage show simply because of the scale issue. How do
Yeah.
you have an actor play Luigi and an actor play Remy, and have them relate on a stage? That's a lot for suspension of disbelief.
Because it's not like cats where they're all
Mhm.
cats and they're all the
Exact.
same size.
You need a consistent scale, and
Right.
there aren't many stage shows where one actor is 100th the size of all the other characters.
What if
Maybe
they made
this is why we never had Stuart Little the musical.
oh, what if they had Linguini as like a puppet, like the
Giant,
big,
a
like in
giant pup.
Finding Nemo the musical, where the pelican is like a giant
Yeah,
puppet that comes out from the side? What if they did that?
he could be an enormous marionette like they used to use for Pinocchio at
That'd be
Fantasmic.
horrifying.
It would be terrible.
That would be so scary. And then I won't play this for you here just so we don't get tagged just in case. But there was a very cute little flash mob in the France Pavilion at Epcot where they were dancing to the music, and it was
Yeah.
very well choreographed
Yeah.
considering.
I just from watching it, I believe that the person in red in the center must have been the choreographer because they're hitting all their beats,
Yeah.
and the people behind them are kind of sneaking. They're kind of looking out of the corner of their eyes, trying to follow. Um, yeah,
uh,
bravo to everyone who has taken this ball
sir.
and run with it.
Now, if you could find just as much passion to bring Hunchback to the stage again
Ugh.
when Broadway comes back, because that is my absolute favorite Disney musical, and it deserves more love and recognition. A little update from Disney's Animal Kingdom. While we know that various entertainment offerings at all four of Walt Disney World's parks are not being offered, it seems that they are at least making use of the empty space. Over at the Festival of the Lion King Harambe Theater, they've now turned it into extended queue for Flight of Passage.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Ugh.
Ugh. I mean, hey, it's actually kind of funny that they didn't figure this out a couple months ago when it was really hot out. And they could have used. There were some days when they could use. Now the weather is really nice and cool, but yeah, I guess it is better to make use of a space for guest convenience rather than leave it completely empty. But it just hurts to look at these pictures of the Festival of Lion King Theater, knowing that all of the actors who normally work there are sitting home unemployed, and to see, this is what the space is being used for. It's not its
Yeah.
intended purpose. To say this is not why they spent millions of dollars building a brand new gorgeous Harambe theater just a few years ago. It
Yep.
was not to make it queue space.
Also, I want to know how long is the wait that you have
Oy.
to do an extended queue
I
in Harambe?
Ironically, the actual standby wait time, even though it stretches all that far, is still not quite as long as it was the summer before the pandemic for standby wait when Fastpass was being used.
Hmm,
Um, yeah,
I'm
I
surprised.
a lot of these really really long lines that we see are the social distancing obviously means it's spaced out. But the fact that there is no fast pass available means that they're moving even with lowered capacity because of health restrictions. You're seeing attractions, having actual throughputs that are in some cases better than they used to be for the standby queue just by getting rid of that fast pass. It's
Yeah.
kind of crazy. Um,
Fast pass is bad. Get rid of it.
it's not bad, but it has to be very carefully balanced against what the actual hourly throughput is. You have to be really careful you know how many people get use FastPass and cut the line versus how much you're gonna piss off the people
Yeah.
who are standing in that standby line. And it can be done. There is a sweet spot. You can be done, but it requires you actually accurately monitoring how many people you're putting through the queue and not just using made up numbers that aren't real.
And
Um,
that's the tea.
yeah, and especially and especially there's an attraction like um, a Flight of Passage where all it takes is one person puking to take out a whole one quarter of the attraction capacity until everything gets cleaned from there on to the bottom.
Oh
Um,
no. Did that
yeah.
really happen?
Oh, it not once, not
Oh
twice.
god. I'm
That's a frequent flyer option if you're working that attraction is
I'm just
dealing.
visualizing it in my head. I'm
Yeah.
never gonna not ride
No,
on the top row ever
the
again.
top. Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Oh dear.
And moving right along. Let's.
Moving right along, Disney World is testing out more things to streamline the guest experience during our current times. One of which being something that is kind of awesome, in my opinion, a mobile merchandise checkout option. This is being tested out at Mouse Gear in Epcot. At we believe it's at Pop Century, but I don't think we were able to confirm that right away. And then Downtown Disney is testing this as well, where you can grab a clear bag. Normally when you go up to a cashier and say, "Hey, can I have a bag?" They give you this clear one. You take one of those, fill it up with all of your items, and scan them as you throw them in the bag. And then you pay through your phone with the card that is already loaded into your My Disney Experience app, and then you leave. Well, you could let the cast members scan on your way out, but
if I can do anything to avoid a cashier line, I will do. I wish they would bring this to my local grocery store,
Right?
because wouldn't that be great if you could check out with your groceries while you're picking out your groceries?
It's like the Amazon grocery
I feel
stores.
like we've been promising this for years. I feel like there was an AT&T commercial 20 something years ago that promised we'd be able to do this. It was the same thing that had the, touchless toll passes that we have now.
Yeah.
Um, Maybe that was Skynet though. I could be confusing.
Ooh. I can only imagine how this would make World of Disney much more bearable at Disney
Absolutely.
Springs, because that checkout on the princess side, I'm sure they don't call it that anymore, um, is a nightmare, an absolute nightmare all the time.
Now, I don't think this will necessarily help them get rid of employees. I think that
No.
some people's fear is that this, kind of automation means that they can hire fewer people. I think you're still going to need, always going to need cashier people for people who have cash, people who have problems, people who have returns, whatever.
Or if they don't have
Plus,
smartphones.
exactly, and more importantly, you need now more people standing at the exit checking every single person as they leave, to make sure they're not trying to cheat the system.
Yeah.
So I don't necessarily think it means less labor, but hopefully it means less standing in line. And, they don't have room to socially distance the checkout lines the way that these stores are built. So anything that they can do to shorten them, I'm all for.
Yeah. The next best thing would be letting you shop a store's stock from your phone and having it delivered to the resort. That
Yeah.
would be game changing.
Or if I could just stay home
Right?
and they could just like have Mickey Mouse show up at my door with a churro and a Dole Whip, and he can shake me around, and I don't know, he can spit on me and tell me I just wrote Stitch's Great Escape.
Collect all the quarters that fall out of your pockets.
Exactly.
I mean, Tokyo Disney is getting pretty close to that. They launched a web store where you can shop park merchandise and have it shipped to your home so long as you have an address in Japan.
Excellent.
So that's pretty dang awesome. I wish that they would do that here. I
Every
guess we'll
day
have.
they give us more and more reasons to move to Japan.
Right? I
The two of
always
us are
find a
gonna
good
have.
reason.
I mean, I'm learning how to cook. So if we can just learn how to speak Japanese, I think we can start a podcast there.
Do we get a company discount on Rosetta Stone?
Oh.
Now, this is pretty exciting. I swear, the more we see of this roller coaster, the more I want to ride it. Universal finally gave us a more detailed up close look at the ride vehicle for Jurassic World Velocicoaster, which is opening next summer.
This looks badass.
Yeah, it does.
It's like
Yes.
I believe Greg Hall is the Universal designer who is kind of one of the leads to determine the look of this train, and it's just like everything you would put in a roller coaster to make it look like tough and fast and sleek, and it's like got the grill, it's got the lights, it's got these three slashes like a velociraptor took a claw out of it. Um, Most importantly, it's only got lap bars. There's no over the
Ooh.
shoulder restraints. There's no head knocking. There's no, it's just it's you and the lap bar and Newtonian physics, and that's all.
Okay, so
Uh,
my fear levels have risen thinking about just lap bar and
See,
that.
I never fear getting thrown out. I fear getting my ears bashed into potato.
Oh, geez, don't ever ride Rip Ride Rocket, guys.
Mm-hmm. I've never been well, Rip Ride Rocket, that's a whole nother story. But
She's got.
I feel like this is gonna be a lot better engineered.
Yes.
Um and that's saying something because this is coming from Intimate. Um but yeah, Rocket's another story. The Velocicoaster, if nothing else, with the lighting package on this, this train is going to be really cool to watch. There's going to be some great spots around the park, including near Port of Entry and the bridge to Lost Continent, that I think are just going to be great places for people to see this thing going by. It's going to make a big impression. I was on Fox 35 talking to them about it the other day, and I couldn't help it. I just kind of fangirled over it. I'm like, oh, I want to ride it.
I want to ride it so bad, but I think one thing that will be game changing for this is the day to night ride experience. Because all coasters have a different vibe in the day than at nighttime. So I got to ride Hagrid's at night.
Oh, it's
and
so
that
much
was
better at
incredible.
night.
And I didn't get to ride it during the day, but I was like, I almost don't even want to. Like, that experience was perfect.
Yeah.
So now I wonder if this one would be better during
well,
the day or at night.
I got to think that especially the first half that is all winding in and around the mountain and has lots of head choppers and tight collisions with the statues of raptors, that at night with the shadows and the lighting, that's going to be way more intense. And that going out over the water, especially doing that 0G stall out in front of the Discovery Center, when it's just the light of the coaster reflecting off of the water underneath you, that's going to be just gorgeous and terrifying at the same time.
They're going to have to open up like a sweatpants store right next to the coaster exit.
Free pull-ups, adult sizes available.
Oh, man. I can't wait for this. I hope the world is in a better place by the time this thing opens so I can responsibly travel down to
I want
ride.
to be able to scream outside of my heart, not just inside my heart.
Yeah, I'm going to need to with only a lap bar holding me, and I'm going to need to get that catharsis and fear out of me.
Yeah, you're going to love it.
I'm so excited. Now, this next thing, we have to talk about it. Have to.
Okay.
So, if you guys have not seen episode or chapter 14 of The Mandalorian,
go away.
Hey, please.
Put your fingers in your... No.
All right. My friends, this episode...
Spoilers. You've been alerted. No complaining.
Yeah, if you complain, it ain't my problem. This episode was the shortest of the entire season at 32 minutes.
They packed so much in. Oh my God.
Directed by Robert Rodriguez and written by Jon Favreau. And Robert used every single second of that 32 minutes. I was screaming. I felt like I could run a marathon after. It was just packed full of action. It was so cinematic. And also, this is probably the first episode we've seen shot on an actual location and not in the volume. I think. Pretty sure this is in the Hollywood Hills.
They've gotten so good with the volume that it's sometimes really hard to tell what's real and what's fake. But I agree that this had kind of a scale of it that didn't feel like a bunch of people just acting in a room or against a backdrop. That like the fight had geography to it, and this is what Robert Rodriguez, who's just a genius at choreographing action and doing it in a really efficient way, where he knows exactly what the audience needs to see in order to understand what's going on. Really like. Just the building of the tension. I just love the build up to the moment of the boulder.
Yeah.
You can sort of see where it's going, and then when it comes, it's so satisfying to watch that play out. And there were moments where I was literally screaming at the screen, yelling at the characters about, no, don't do that. Don't do that other thing.
It's so good.
But and I think I gotta say, as a really someone who's been following these movies, as someone who watched the holiday special in its original broadcast. Okay?
Wow.
Not just on a VHS, but actually saw it when it was on TV. I've been waiting my whole life for Boba Fett to
Oh,
actually do something on
right.
screen that lived up to his badass reputation. It's been a long time because Boba Fett has always been that character that I think the fans built up as more than has actually ever been seen. He's fleshed out in the comics and the books and the video games and whatever. But all we ever really saw in the movies is Boba Fett standing around, sneaking around, and then getting his ass kicked.
Yep.
So it was so good to finally see our fan worship of this character be redeemed. Getting to see him make good use of his backpack rocket, taking out two ships at the same time, and the fact that he's so good with the gaffy stick that he
That was it was so violent. I knew Robert Rodriguez was a bit visceral in his violence in
I
his
don't think
past
we've
movies.
ever seen stormtrooper armor shatter quite
No.
that like that.
And then the one where his like face is smashed in and he's
Oh,
all like ragdolled on the floor. I was like,
this
they
is
let someone do this. Oh my god.
yeah.
It was awesome.
This is
It
this is finally Star Wars almost edging towards R-rated territory.
was like this is as close as we'll get to
Yeah,
Tarantino maybe
e- e-
doing a Star
exactly,
Wars.
exactly. Yeah, no, he would have 100 more stormtroopers, and they would all lose a limb, and they'd
Yep.
be crawling around in the
There'd
blood
be
afterwards.
blood everywhere. But just a little recap. So this all takes place on the forest planet Tython, where Mando takes Grogu to a ruined Jedi temple so he can reach out through the Force to whoever might be listening. We don't know who. And a fight ensues with Fennec Shand, who we all thought was dead, left for dead in the Tatooine desert, and Boba Fett, who apparently was the spur boot space guy that came to see her at the end of her episode in season one.
We all guessed right. Yay.
Yeah, everyone guessed right. And all Boba wants is his armor back. And Mando, being Mando, brought his zealot Mandalorian creed beliefs into it. Was like, "You're not a real Mandalorian. You can't have this armor." And he was like, "Yeah, here's my birth certificate on my
Right.
arm."
Here's my chain code, which I conveniently carry around.
And um, little did Mando know, but I think last episode or the episode before, Moff Gideon's people placed a tracking beacon on the Razor Crest. They tracked him to Tython, and they're here to get that baby. And a whole bunch of things ensue. The Razor Crest is no more. They blew it up. So I feel really bad for everyone who bought that $400 Lego set because that thing is gone. And we got
Can
to
we have
see
the Razor Crest NC 1701B maybe this season?
I
wrong,
feel
wrong
so
show. Sorry.
we got to see the Dark Troopers, which are robotic
Yes.
stormtroopers,
Who?
and they're very scary and
and,
awesome.
and I will date myself again as someone who played the original Dark Forces video game on my ancient DOS PC.
Whoa.
Uh, got that one on floppies, I think, before the CD-ROM release even. Yeah, that old. It was great to finally see a Dark Trooper in live action. This show seems to be all about taking all of these things that fans have wanted to see on film over the years and finally making it happen.
Yep. It's like playing with all the old vintage series toys again. But the 4 Dark Troopers that show up end up kidnapping Grogu and flee. And Boba is all like, "Well, our deal's not done. We have to get the child back." So now we're going to see.
Damn right, we have to get the child back. You're not doing anything else. I don't care I'm not doing anything else for the next week until I see them get the child back.
Oh man. But then we cut to Moff Gideon on his ship. And at first he's like talking real sweet to Grogu. And Grogu is like kicking all kinds of stormtrooper butt, just like slinging them around his little cell. It was so cute and so funny.
Okay, we need to talk about this because it's cute because it's Grogu doing it. But if it was anyone else doing that, we'd be like, "Oh shoot, this is another little Anakin Skywalker. We gotta watch out because this kid's gonna not just go the dark side, but like jump into the dark side with both feet."
Yeah, that
Uh,
was.
I
Ugh.
I I'm worried about Grogu here.
I'm
I think
worried.
this kid needs counseling. He needs intervention. He
He
needs anger
needs.
management.
He's been separated from his father figure, and now that fear leads to anger.
Anger leads to the lightning coming out of the tips of your fingers, and then you think
Yep.
you killed Chewbacca. Oh shoot, wrong movie. I'm sorry.
I'm having flashbacks. We also see Moff Gideon order his troopers to stun little Grogu, which I found very upsetting. Um,
Well, it didn't hurt Princess Leia in Episode 4, so he'll be
yeah.
fine.
And then they inform the clone doctor that they have their M count donor again.
There are so many questions. Who
Yep.
exactly is Grogu donating midichlorians to? Uh, Also, if you pay really close attention to the previously when you mentioned the tracker that Moff Gideon had placed on the Razor Crest, they also mention a source who confirmed that the child was on the Razor Crest at the time. So who exactly is this source? Who is apparently someone who's a friend of the Mandalorian who's informing on him?
I thought it was one of the mechanics at what's her faces on
Uh,
Tatooine.
one of one of the um, one of the pit droids.
Not, it wasn't a droid; it was an
No,
alien.
I totally missed that.
Or
Obviously, I
no,
have
it
to
was on
start.
Navarro. It was on Navarro.
Obviously, I have to rewatch that episode.
It was one of
All right,
Grief Karga's guys,
we'll edit
I
that part
think.
out of the podcast, so I'll sound smarter now. Um, and most importantly, is who was Grogu communicating with on from the Seeing Stone? Did he
Right.
make contact? And now that they've left, how is that person supposed to find them?
Mm,
Someone better be rescuing Grogu like by the next episode because I cannot take multiple episodes of Grogu in peril.
we
Like
only have two left.
I if there was a cliffhanger and I have to wait until next season for Grogu's safety to be confirmed, I'm gonna throw something at my TV.
I'm
Like
gonna
I don't know if
head.
I cannot this year I cannot go into the next year with that kind of uncertainty and anxiety.
The,
It's not fair.
no, we're gonna start 2021 off on the
I
most
need
anxious foot.
I need to know that Grogu is okay before I can face 2021. I
Yep.
just can't do it otherwise.
Gosh. And I wonder if we're gonna see Ahsoka again.
With two episodes, I mean, unless the last episode is like everyone shows up for a big group get together
Hey,
and
man.
sings a Life Day song. Um, I think I feel like Ahsoka was setting us up for something bigger happening next year maybe, and
Yeah.
that, I love to be wrong. I'd love to see her show up again, but I feel like this season has been kind of like touching base with a bunch of old characters and having a couple
Mm-hmm.
new ones make appearances, and then we're kind of building up towards some big thing that's going to happen and hopefully resolve and not leave us hanging. Please
Gosh, I
resolve.
hope
Please
so,
resolve.
please. Uh, but overall, this episode was incredible. I have to
Amen.
give a standing ode to Tamura Morrison,
Oh,
who absolutely kicked butt
and really
as
got
Boba Fett.
got to show more range and emotion and character in one 30-minute episode than he did in all the movies playing Jango Fett. Uh, it's great to finally see his character like being what we've all wanted it to be in our headcanon all this
Yeah.
time.
And you can tell his training really paid off because
Oh
his
yes.
casting leaked over the summer when his manager or something said that he was doing physical training for Mandalorian. And
He's not a young man
gosh,
anymore, and
no, he's
he
got a
made the
dad bod.
action. He made the action look really good. He sold it.
Oh, it was so great. I don't know if this is confirmed or not, but rumor has it that Robert Rodriguez was brought in last minute to replace someone
I,
directing.
I had heard that rumor, but I never know which rumors to believe anymore in
Yeah,
regards to Star Wars. So I just pay attention to what ends up on the screen. And
but
uh, I've been a fan of his since El Mariachi. I've seen every one of his films in the movie theater back when there were movie theaters. Even all the Spy Kids,
the Spy Kids movies are so great.
even Shark Boy and Lava Girl.
Hey, that they're coming back. Can I tell you a fun fact before we move on?
Yes.
I live 10 minutes from Troublemaker Studios.
Awesome.
The last time I
That's
was
like the
out,
Graceland of indie
right?
filmmaking. Like,
The last time I was out there, the Alita set was still up in the back
oh,
of the back lot. And
very
I was
cool.
just like peeking over because that's where the Rooster Teeth offices are. And I was just like, are you over there? Christoph Waltz, are you home? One of these days, I'm going to go knock on the door and be like, I just want to tell Robert he did a good job on The Mandalorian.
I'm sure he would appreciate it. He would welcome you in, and he would play guitar and cook for you.
Dude, yes, give me a
Give
tour.
you a 10-minute film
I know
school.
he's probably living somewhere in town in a giant house up in the hills of Austin. And
He seems
then
like a really cool guy,
he
and
does,
I
yeah.
never want like some scandal to come out and like
No,
because he seems like one of those very few Hollywood people who's really or non-Hollywood people who's really still genuine, and I don't want that to be ruined.
let him
It's like
and Dave Filoni
he's
do
sort of
some.
like he's like the Kevin Smith of action movies for me.
Yeah, I always trust the cowboy hats with Star Wars. And for our main attraction, this is something that I worked on today, actually. Um, big changes
Oh,
are coming in California. If you are not a Californian or you don't really watch the news, um, they are under a regional stay at home order depending on the area. It's Southern California and the San Joaquin Valley. Goes into effect tonight at 11:59 p.m. Pacific time, and it will last for at least 3 weeks because their ICU, their intensive care unit capacity, has fallen below 15%. Um, and Governor Newsom said that if that happened, mandatory stay at home orders would be put in place for those regions. Um, and because of that, we've got some more regulations at the parks. Mostly restaurants that don't offer delivery or takeout will have to close. Their indoor and outdoor dining. Zoos, museums, and aquariums will have to close. And this kind of kills Knott's and SeaWorld for right now.
yeah, and it doesn't leave a lot of options for Disney either.
Yeah.
The little that they have started reopening, a lot of it's got to close back down. I personally, I'm not entirely sure what a stay-at-home order that still allows some retail and dining to open really means either. But either way, it is not good news for the people in the California theme park industry who had,
Yep.
they've been trying to open stuff back up, and this is definitely taking a huge step backwards.
Yeah. For retail, they're only allowed to operate at 20%
Hmm.
capacity. So you can imagine how big World of Disney is and
We've
what
we
it's.
the lines we've seen,
Yeah.
when they've been at, I believe, 25 or 50% capacity, have been long enough. Knock
Hmm.
that down to 20%, and you're going to be waiting a long time to get into World of Disney or any of those other shops for sure.
We got a super chat from Philip Meets Disney, $5, said, how is Disneyland going to enforce no eating or drinking on property? Will you be asked to leave?
That's an excellent question. Yeah, officially, they're only allowed to sell for off-property consumption. Like they're not licensed to sell you food for you to sit and eat there. Um, so yeah, I guess you can get stuff from the takeaway window, but you've got to go back. Can you eat it in your car back in the parking lot? Um, do you have to actually drive home before you can?
Yeah.
Uh,
The news from Disneyland was pretty minimal, I
hmm
would say. They published an update on their website. If you go to disneyland.com, there's a little banner at the top that has their latest COVID-19 news, and it just says that certain dining locations will close.
Yeah.
Certain retail opportunities will still be open. Check back for more details. And then it links to their safety updates page, which I can never get to load. It just
Clear your
cycles
cache.
forever.
Clear your
um,
cache.
I'll have to do that.
Yeah, I think the park with the most specific statement that I saw was SeaWorld in San
Yes.
Diego, which basically, it had the CEO had a pretty blatant statement saying we're shutting down, we're giving up, throwing in the towel.
Yep.
Um, and they'd made an effort. They were trying to do Christmas events and stuff, and operating outdoor animal attractions that was okay last week, but not okay this week.
Nope.
So and here, it's weird because I'm here in Florida, and while California is definitely peaking in their number of cases, Florida's not that much further behind them.
Nope.
And neither is most of the country.
Yeah.
Most states are in very similar situations, and here in Florida, it's business as usual. So it's kind of Twilight Zoney.
Yep.
Um, but Knott's Berry Farm was just kind of kicking in high gear for their seasonal food festival, and I don't see how that is doable now. So I have not seen an announcement unless it's come through in the last few hours from them but I'm sure there'll be refunds, for people who had bought tickets for that.
Yeah. They said today that the event would run through today, the
Mm-hmm.
December 6th, if you're listening to this, and
Mm,
that they would make an announcement about the future event dates or lack thereof
right.
early this coming week. So I would
Okay.
imagine Monday or Tuesday we'll hear
I
something.
I imagine there are a lot of people in the corporate offices at the theme parks who have spent the last 24, 48 hours scrambling to figure
Yep.
out what the heck they're going to do. Um,
Yep.
and I also did you see a statement from Universal Studios Hollywood?
I did not.
Because they've been operating parts of City Walk. In fact, they do have a takeout window for butterbeer.
Yes.
And the last I heard was that they were going to continue to try to do retail and takeaway food like Disneyland. But to be honest, by the time this podcast comes out,
Yep.
things might have changed again.
Yep.
So yeah, before you drive over there, make sure you check their websites. Anywhere in California before you go to a park, make sure you double check because.
And I checked Six Flags Magic Mountain. They have not said anything. They're doing the holiday drive-through in the park right now.
I
So
wonder if that is still,
allowed.
again, this quote unquote stay at home order seems to have a lot of ways where you can avoid staying at home.
Yes. And
Um,
then Legoland California has been doing kind of what Knott's and Disneyland were doing, kind of food festival, holiday decorations, distance character meet and greets type of deal. But that ended today. Whether or not it was previously scheduled to
mm,
end today or they just
just
changed
a
it and
coinky dink.
kept it low key.
Yep.
But that's where they stand. So we'll keep an eye out. But this is going to be a thing for
Yeah.
at least the rest of
So
2020. And then towards the start of 2021, they will check the various regional ICU capacities that are affected here once a week. And each week, if they don't hit that 15% or go above it, they won't be able to get off the stay-at-home order. So, oi.
And yeah, and from the direction all the numbers are going, it's going to be a while.
Yep.
So yeah, to all our listeners out there in California, all our friends there, and people who work in the parks, our thoughts are with you guys. It's going to be a tough Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope that vaccine thing happens soon. Some kind of normalcy panning out. We'll see what happens, I suppose. Well.
No. Oh boy.
Oh boy. When are we gonna get some good news, Seth?
Yeah. So Christmas is coming.
Christmas is coming. Did you make a Christmas list?
Being Jewish, I have not made many Christmas lists in my life. I might ask the Hanukkah fairy for some socks. That's about as ambitious as I'm gonna get this year.
I asked for a Pikachu onesie.
Ooh.
Yeah.
For yourself or for the dog?
For me. Oh, okay. For me. If I get it for Christmas, I'll wear it on here so you guys can see it.
I was in Epcot and saw they have this holiday themed bright red adult onesie, it's like a giant pajama with, Christmas Disney characters all over it. And
oh, that's cute.
And I thought, that's a brave, thing for an adult, because of an adult male size. And then I saw an adult male wearing it in the park. And I thought, well, is a piece of someone for every merchandise, and someone, a piece of merchandise for every someone.
Yeah.
Did not think I'd see that. There
low key, I've always wanted to go to Magic Kingdom for Christmas and do like holiday pajamas in the parks.
I totally think you could pull that off. Yet if I did, I think security might come out, escort me gently backstage.
Come here, sir. We have a special Mickey Mouse meet and greet for you. And then they take you to Disney jail. I'm just kidding. I'm pretty sure there's not a Disney jail, is there?
It's more of a Disney comfortable holding room.
That's okay.
Bars have pixie dust.
Yes. Now, before we go, I would like to give a few shout outs. If you did not know, Attractions Magazine has a 3-tier subscription service, and you can pick the best tier for you. But if you pick Club or VIP the week after you subscribe, you get a shout out on the show. So without further ado, thank you to Kevin Carter and Trudy Block. Thank you so much. You help keep the show going.
Thank you.
I promise one of these days we're going to end the show with some happy things. Maybe I'll throw the Mando recaps at the end if something crazy happens, like Sebastian Stan as Luke Skywalker or something.
You know what? I think we should throw this out to our maybe we should have a new bit. We should come up with a upbeat bit after the news and before the final wrap up, to put a button on the show. Maybe like a reader question, or I don't know, something wacky, something that we can throw in there. We're gonna throw that to our listeners.
Yes, leave a comment.
So if you have an idea for a bit, something that we could end the show so it's not just whatever depressing piece of news we had to end of the world, and see you next week, folks. No, we need a bit. We need a bit.
Yes.
Let's.
Erico says, "What about a theme park joke of the week?"
Eric,
well, then you're gonna have to.
You're gonna have to write it for us, Eric. And honestly, I love Eric, but I don't know if we want to depend on him for a steady stream of jokes.
See, I'm afraid if I tried to come up with a joke, it would only be funny to me. And then you guys
Well,
wouldn't think it was
and
funny.
I mean I don't have any kids, so I can't tell dad jokes. But I have a cat, so I have like cat dad
Cat
jokes, which
jokes.
are really even worse. Hmm. What are you looking forward to most in 2021? Maybe we'll answer that question at
Oh,
the end of
okay.
next week. Maybe each week will be a listener can ask a question for both of us to have to answer at the end.
Okay.
All right, Lon, thank you for giving us our bit. Each week at the end of the show, you guys can suggest a question for us to answer next week, and so the question we will both answer next week is, what are you looking forward to the most in 2021? Thank you, Lon, for saving us. You will now get royalties. You will get 1% of what both of us earn for this show. 1% of
Hmm.
zero is let's carry the two. I will Venmo it to you. I
How
promise.
many times can you cut a penny? Well, you answer the question. You go first.
No. Next week. I
Next
said
week.
we'll push it
Okay.
off so we
Next
can
week.
because I'm trying to create a bit out of it. I'm
All
trying
right.
to
We're doing it next week.
let's create a bit. So each week we'll get a new question that we can answer the following week.
Really.
In case it's a question that needs research.
Right. That's true. You can't trust us to be off the cuff all the time.
Exactly. We script this all. What are you talking about off the cuff? I am reading every single word off of a teleprompter. Period. Space. Breathe. Don't read that part. Oh shoot.
I'm updating this live. You're not supposed to read the cues from the prompter. We
I
are
always
just
mess that up.
kidding.
This has
If
been
you
fun. All
It
right.
has been. Let's get
Let's
the
wrap this up.
socials out of the way.
Let's
Seth, if
do
you
it.
would tell everyone where they can find you on the interwebs.
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at skuberski or at the UG series, and on the web at theunofficialguides.com. You can edit that little pause out, right?
Yeah, I can.
I
Will
I
I?
I had a cold drink earlier and I had brain freeze.
You can find me at Brittany Tuttle. That's BRITTANITUTTLE. Yes, it's spelled funny on Twitter and Instagram. Every day at attractionsmagazine.com, at attractions on Twitter, at attractions magazine on Instagram, and of course, youtube.com/attractionsmagazine, where you're watching this right now if you're hanging out with us while we're live. And until next week, I hope you guys stay safe, wear your mask, wash your hands, but most of all, have fun. And try not to agonize with the fact that there's only 2 episodes of Mandalorian left for probably
Oh,
another year.
oh, bye.
Bye,
Oh,
everybody.
oh.